What is going on, everybody? Welcome to, we'll call it a mixed bag of recruiting chips, maybe like a Chex Mix.
There we go.
Episode of Coach and the Couch Potato. As always, I'm Jeremy the Couch Potato. Opposite side of the screen, we got Coach Slate. We are brought to you by the Barn Baseball and Softball Academy. We got like 3 recruiting related things we want to jump into. Talking about Jordan Thomas. Always nice to get a boom on a Monday. A very well-known class of 2028 offer, and possibly the most cringe announcement of a commitment ever, and it does not involve the Buckeyes.
Yeah.
And then the mixed bag, we want to talk about some not ideal scheduling news for the Buckeyes today, and maybe you'll get to hear me rant about another topic if we get that far.
There we go.
So yeah, we'll just jump into it. We are recording this Monday night, the 12th at 10 o'clock. So today about 2:30, the Buckeyes get, I think it's the 13th commitment in the class.
Yes, it is.
4-star corner Jordan Thomas from Bergen Catholic High School in New Jersey. Sounds familiar? Quincy Porter.
Yep.
6'1", 185. Don't let the ranking fool you.
Yeah.
He is ranked number 18 as the composite. I think it's a situation he might be ranked number 18 in the country, but he's number 1 in OG Walt's heart.
Yeah, man. Listen, this is the type of guy that OG Walt wants to get on campus, and the type of body and the type of mindset and the embodiment of what BIA stands for. This is a guy who is 6'1", 185 pounds, and he is just a physical specimen. I mean, he plays the game physical. He is a very good athlete. He will get up and press you. He will do a lot of different things when it comes to being a very sound defensive back. But I cannot stress enough how physical this guy plays the game of football. This is a guy who has a lot of position versatility in that secondary. And I think he reminds me of Jordan Hancock later on in his college career. I wouldn't say Jordan Hancock right away out of high school, because when Jordan Hancock came out of North Gwinnett, I believe that's where he went. He was a ball hawking corner that was just an elite cornerback, but he developed into that physical presence that could be in the run game and do those things. I think Jordan Thomas has a lot of those skill sets right now. And so this is a guy who I think will start out on the outside, but could transition into being that hybrid type slot defender, could go back and play safety as well. So this is a guy who has position versatility, could play all 5 spots in the secondary, but I do think he'll get his first opportunities on the outside. Just a true just the definition of what BIA is and the type of guy that OG Walt wants to get, man. So I think this is a home run. I think this is why we are okay with passing on an Elbert Hill, because you can get somebody like this in the class who can do multiple things for you in the secondary. And you think about what Coach Day has been stressing with the offensive line, it's going to be the same thing with the secondary as well. You can't just be locked into one spot. You got to be able to play multiple spots. And so this is a guy who can do that. And I think this is a huge, huge get for the Buckeyes.
Yeah, I agree. His offer list was insane.
Yeah.
40 or more offers. I mean, basically a who's who. Ultimately came down to Ohio State, Notre Dame, and the team up north. Anytime you can beat both of those schools for somebody, it's always a win.
Always.
But, OG Walt is really finding that groove.
Yeah.
Just like we've said 100 times, you trust Heartline, you trust OG Walt.
Absolutely. You always trust OG Walt. You always trust Heartline. I think they've earned the right to be trusted. I think the one thing I love about what Heartline does, especially now, and I think the one thing that OG Walt does, they do a really good job of going out and getting those guys that may not be the highest ranked guys, but they've got the intangibles that you need to play multiple spots, to can do multiple things that fit an exact need. You see that with Brock Boyd on the offensive side of the ball, coming from South Lake Carroll in Texas. He's going to be that guy that could be, 100 type catch guy in the slot. You're going to see that with Jordan Thomas. You see that with Witherspoon as well. You're going to see these guys who may not be, the high ranked 4 or 5 star guys that are going to come in and can do these niche things for us. And I think they just do such a good job of identifying these guys. And I think you're going to see Jordan Thomas's ranking go way up because his offer list is through the roof and his film speaks for itself.
Yes. He's very physical.
Oh my
very
gosh,
physical.
man.
Big time target announcing tomorrow. It will not be the Buckeyes. Jackson Cantwell is announcing tomorrow. I don't know. It feels like a bag chase. I mean, when you look at who the players are, but I think Georgia will have his Hellcat ready.
Yeah.
And, some get out of jail free cards and a couple insurance cards. And I understand that's not everybody at Georgia. Obviously, your guy Ryan's at Georgia, and Ryan is not like that at all.
Yeah.
There's definitely there's definitely mixed cultures at Georgia, it seems.
I
think he goes there. It could definitely be Oregon too. I mean, anytime you're talking about a bag, Oregon is going to be there.
Yeah. And it's that premium position, man. Like that's the thing.
Yeah.
You're going to start seeing these left tackles. I mean, you were already seeing it. They're just going to be able to say, these top ranked left tackles we saw with David Sanders, they're going to be able to name their price. And these schools are going to be like, hey, you're going to we've got to pay them because these are the type of guys you're going to have to bring in. And so the schools that are going to be able to drop that type of money or are going to be willing to drop that type of money are the schools you just named. Oregon's always going to be willing, and we're going to talk about that here in a second. They're going to be willing to do whatever it takes to get these top ranked guys to come to campus. And so, listen, man, I'm not going to fault any of these guys for taking the money. You and I will never do that.
No.
But definitely seems like that type of recruitment for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I'm never going to fault the kid for taking the money. And I might tell you that you're chasing the bag. But at the end of the day, you've earned that right. You are a phenomenal football player.
Yep.
And we have advocated for things like NIL, no matter how much work it needs. But yeah, you got to find a mix. And like you hit, with Jordan Thomas, the other thing with some of these guys Ohio State's going after is these are the guys who might have what you want, but they're not going to cost you premium money either.
Yeah.
We saw it last year with David Sanders. We know David Sanders commanded a premium as he, is going to earn. David Sanders is going to ball out.
Yeah.
But would you rather have Ethan Onionwa and Phillip Daniels versus one David Sanders? It becomes a chess match. And, to pivot a little bit, you're seeing so many programs now hire full-blown general managers.
Absolutely.
Not like a Mark Pantoni type general manager. So at what point do we see Ohio State, go hire somebody like Troy Smith or, somebody, and it doesn't have to be somebody with ties to the team. I can't think of who I just saw hired somebody from the Bengals tonight for that role.
Yeah.
Stanford with Andrew Luck.
Yeah.
Because you are managing a lot of facets. You're managing cap and roster space and stuff like that.
Yeah. I mean, you see it with, our guy, Bill Belichick, he brought in Lombardi, who was his GM with the Patriots. I mean, that's just the way that it is. You've got to manage it like it's a professional team. You've got to manage it with a salary cap. You've got to really sit down with the stakeholders, the foundations, the collectives, all these different places that are going to be raising these funds. These big businesses. You've got to work from a cap every single year.
Yep.
This is the number. This is where we're going to stay at. This is what we have to fundraise at, and you've got to be able to go from there. And I think Ohio State's done a really good job of identifying those 1 to 2, maybe 3 guys that are going to be those big spending here. We're gonna spend a lot of money on these guys, but now we're really going to go after these traits, right? We're going to go after these elite traits that we don't have to really spend a lot. Mark Pantoni and his staff have done a really good job. I think his name's what is the guy that came from Alabama?
I can't think of it.
Petito, I think is his last name. I met him down on campus. He's a character, let me tell you. But you're going to see those type of roles just continue to increase, and maybe it is bringing in a Troy Smith or somebody else that from Buckeye lore that has that type of presence that could just be, full fledged. Maybe it's not even a GM, just full fledged, just straight up fundraiser for the football program. That is fully affiliated with the football program. I don't know what it is, but you're going to see these type of roles start to increase because they're needed in such a major capacity. So it's interesting, man. It's interesting to see Andrew Luck out there, doing all those different things with Stanford and all these guys who have these NFL ties trying to manage the salary cap at the college level.
Yeah, and that is Sam Petito from Alabama. Real quick, because it is so far away, but a pretty cool offer went out. Class of 2028 wide receiver, Jett Harrison.
Yeah. That's pretty cool, man.
It is 6'1", 175, just to get the measurables out of the way. Obviously he was only a freshman this year. He did play. Will start as a sophomore. The thing that, really jumps out to me is I remember the gist of the quote. So I went back and found it. And it was on November 11th of 2023. Marvin Harrison Jr. said, "He's great. He's more talented than I ever was at that age." That's pretty high praise.
That's pretty high praise. I think it's pretty cool. Obviously, your brother, your big brother is Marvin Harrison Jr. Like this obviously Buckeye legend. You get this offer. You wear number 18 because you want to be like Big Bro and all these different things. Like you're trying to blaze your own trail as well. It'll be interesting to see how that all plays out if he ends up coming to Ohio State. But this is a kid who's got a lot of talent. Obviously, it's in his DNA. We'll see how the rest of it plays out. He's only a freshman, like you said, going into his sophomore season. But you can take a guess at how good he's going to end up being. And so if Marv said he's going to be that good, I have it on good authority to believe Marv. I don't think he's ever let us down. So listen, man, just keep grinding, keep doing what you're doing, man. And hopefully it all shakes out. If you don't end up at Ohio State, no matter where you're at, man, I think you're going to be a baller.
Yeah, it was really funny to see the Michigan fans in the comments of the Hayes graphic about the offer. Forge your own path. Don't go to Ohio State. Like, which that's a whole nother conversation. We're finally getting close to where I'm comfortable addressing the Michigan stuff.
Yeah.
We're finally getting a lot of clarity out there.
Yeah.
June.
Yeah.
June. It's going to be a fun month. So we hit on this and Slate kind of foreshadowed. Yesterday, Richard Wesley, defensive end, just recently reclassified to the 26th class, was on a visit to Eugene without a single family member on this visit. That's really big. And we see the most cringe commitment announcement ever. My man's rocking the compression shorts. He's not even in trunks. Gets up, acts like he's about to hop in the pool, and then here comes our guy. The Harbaugh sleepover has been replaced. Dan Lanning, who may be pastier than I am, takes his shirt off, jumps in the pool with the kid.
Yeah. I don't even have. I did. So the Danny Lanning thing was a surprise. I was not expecting to see that. I was expecting this kid to jump in the pool, like throw up the whatever it was.
Quack or something.
Yeah, something. I was not expecting to see the head coach jump in the pool with him. Listen, man, like I don't even have words. I get it. You're doing what you got to do to get recruits on campus, but first off,
there's a line.
And I got a lot of respect for Coach Lanning and what he does on the field. I think he is one of the better defensive minds in the game of football. A lot of respect for him. But I'm not comfortable as a coach letting somebody commit to the school if his family's not there. That doesn't sit well with me. Right. I'll go home, talk it over with your family, make sure this is the right fit. I would rather your family be here for this, but to be in the video, like, come on, man. Like, that's just, oh man.
That would have been like words. Urban Meyer being in the dodgeball game of the greatest commitment announcement ever.
Oh my gosh.
Now, granted, unfortunately, that worked out about as well as Joe Bowserman's stint at quarterback. But
Oh my gosh.
So a couple of notes. Rivals put out a free article about this whole situation. Like, this is how big this has become already. You know, Rivals is giving it away for free. In the video, Wesley states, "One school has showed me the most love." Read with that as you will. But then his dad is calling it, I don't know if it was his dad that said it was an impulsive decision, but people in his camp are saying that. But then his dad goes as far as to say, "We don't have anything set in stone with Oregon as far as the full package." Like, bro, your kid is well, no, he did reclassify. So,
yeah.
But man, and then as far as we're concerned, we like Oregon a lot, but there is still some fine tuning that we need to do. They've also already said they're not shutting down the recruitment, and they are still taking official visits to Oregon, Ohio State, Texas, Texas A&M, Tennessee, and USC this summer. The hell's the point?
Yeah, man, that sounds just crazy, and it definitely seems like it was an impulse thing.
Yeah,
and if I'm the parent, like I said, man, I would have a little issue with Coach Lanning, you know, being okay with this. Like,
right.
Are you going to take care of my son? Like, if he goes to school in Eugene, I don't know where Wesley's from, but like, all right, if he goes to school in Eugene, like, are you going to take care of my son? Like,
yeah,
you know, like, are you going to have his best interests at heart? You know, like this was not in his best interest to do this. Like, he could have been a silent commit, you know, until we could get out to campus. Like this, it could have been one of those situations, but hey, you know, I don't know, man. It's just weird, but hopefully it gets worked out with the family. You know, you never want to have a beef with the family at all, but yeah, definitely weird things going on in Eugene.
Yeah. So speaking of having a beef with your family, I'm pretty sure that Darnay Holmes' nephew is still pissed off.
Yeah.
I mean, so yeah, that kind of is the big three recruiting tidbits right now. I still think, you know, I got lucky and said Jordan Thomas was next.
Yeah.
I think Favor's next if we're going to go that route.
Okay.
I would like to tell you I think it'll be this month, but I don't think it will be. I think May is going to be quiet. You know, there's some big fish that are going to pop this summer, though. I'm talking to you, Tyler Atkinson.
Yeah.
So we'll stay tuned there. But one game that a lot of these kids are not going to get to come to is August 30th, OSU, Texas. Big noon kickoff.
What are we doing?
I tweeted Ross Bjork tonight. That's how fired up I was about this. I'm like, Ross, we got to get this under control. This should be the premier recruiting game for the Buckeyes.
What are we doing?
It's week 1. You've had all summer to prep for them. It's not like it's a middle of the season game where you can't focus on the game and recruiting.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not a fan of this. Obviously we know there's media contracts and different things like that. Like, we understand that, but you know, I'm just not a fan of this, man. Like you said, it's prime recruiting time. Would love to have, you know, this in prime time, man. All eyes are going to be on the TV. You know, get it in a night situation. Get the red lights going like you had in the shoe. Like, make it a spectacle. If you do it at night, you're going to get some big time people to come back. You know, you're going to get alum to come back.
LeBron will be there.
Yeah, you might get LeBron to show up. Like, you're just going to you're going to create such buzz by doing that. And I don't know, man. I think this is we missed the boat a little bit with this one, but nonetheless, the game's going to get played. You know, the game is going to get played. Like, that is the one thing.
It just sucks.
It does suck, man.
We can't be the only team in the big noon slot. Come on, Fox. Like,
I know.
You know, like, okay, let's use Tyler Atkinson as an example. You're down in Georgia. You know, August 30 probably is week 1. I don't know what the Georgia schedule is, but I'm pretty sure August 30 is week 1 for us.
Yeah.
You play, you get done at like 11 o'clock. The odds of you being, you're either taking a red eye,
yeah,
or you're catching a 7 a.m. You get to campus at, let's say, 10 by the time you get through, security and stuff, and you're going to the game. That's it. You're
Yep.
not soaking in any of the environment. You're not meeting with Schottenstein and those guys, which happens a lot on those visits.
Yep.
You're really screwing the pooch.
Yeah.
And obviously Michigan is always going to be at noon. I don't, that is what it is.
Yep.
And I don't care about the noon games for me. Like, I'm going to watch the game no matter what.
Yeah.
But from the recruiting side of life, for a game like this, noon just makes it so hard.
Yeah, it definitely makes it difficult, and the environment too. Like, I love being in Ohio Stadium. Like, no matter what. Like, at any time, any game, I don't care what time it is. It could be noon, it could be 3, it could be 7 p.m. It doesn't matter. Like, being in the shoe is one of the greatest feelings in the world. But it doesn't matter who you're playing. When you're walking in the shoe at 11:30 a.m., it takes a little while to get your juices flowing. You know what I mean? Like, it does. Like, and I don't. It doesn't, unless you're playing Michigan. Obviously the Texas game, people are going to be hyped up, but like, just to create that buzz throughout the day, college game day being there, big noon kickoff being there. Obviously, campus is popping throughout the entire day, and you're just building up to that. It's just like, that is just prime time. The kids are getting the full college game day experience. You can do different NIL things. The foundation and the 1870 Society are going to be able to do different fundraising things throughout the day leading up to that. I feel like there's so many missed opportunities by not having it later on in the day. So that is what it is, man. Like you said, the big noon kickoff, they're always going to want the Buckeyes to be in that 12 p.m. slot because we make a lot of money. So,
very true. Speaking of people making a lot of money, they're going to get to hear me rant now. November 1st, 2025 just got a whole lot more interesting.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know or are new to us, Coach Slate is a defensive coach in high school football.
Mm-hmm.
Coach Slate loves Jim Knowles. After last week, Jeremy hates Jim Knowles. Jim Knowles did an interview with ESPN and basically peeled back the layers of the onion. And we use the word onion because Jim Knowles was crying like somebody that cut onions. He comes out basically playing the victim throughout the whole thing. I would have stayed if they would have offered me my contract extension during the playoff run. Dude, you're getting ready to play Notre Dame for a natty. And your defense looked terrible the first drive of the game.
Yeah.
You let Riley Leonard look like Will Howard running the football.
Yeah.
You were more worried about you and your money when you should be worried about winning a natty. And then you called James Franklin, according to the interview, at 5:06 a.m. to ask him about a job 2 days after you won a natty. So you want to cry that Ryan Day asked you not to come to the celebration because you're going to be a distraction, but you're out trying to find a job before the celebration.
Yeah. That part of it shocked me a little bit. Like, listen, the college game, it's a business. And when you get to the age that Jim Knowles is at, I'll be honest, man, loyalty can go out the door. Like, these guys are trying to make as much money as they can. They're true mercenaries. Like, they come in, they're specialized. Jim Knowles was not asked to recruit. I was listening to Austin and Berm's new podcast, and they were talking about Jim Knowles' job when it came to recruiting was that when a recruit came in, a defensive recruit, when they walked in his office, he was supposed to have stuff drawn up about how they were going to be used in the defense. That was it. Like his number one job was to get stops and do all these different things. And so like if he wasn't going to, feel like he was in a position to do that and get paid at the highest level, then he was going to move on. I mean, I just figured that's just who he is. That is just where he's at in this stage of his career. And so like that is just big time college football, in my opinion, and where it's going. You're seeing that with players, and it's because coaches are allowed to do the same thing that players are feeling that they should be able to do it as well. That's just the way that it is. So listen, it sucks, but the one part that frustrates me the most, like it's different if James Franklin called him and said, "Hey,
what's it going to take?
What's it going to take to get you back home coaching at Penn State? Our guy is going, Tom Allen, he's going to Clemson. It's a big loss for us, but you're our guy. We'll pay you whatever it takes."
Yep.
But instead, you're the one that's doing that. Like you just said, you're coming off of a natty. Like you couldn't even wait until after. Like what? You couldn't wait until after the season is over to have these conversations. Like you want to talk extension right now. And so like that, those are the things that it's just a cutthroat business, man. And these guys are not all these guys, but guys like Jim Knowles are just out for themselves, and they are looking out for them. They're looking out for their pockets, and they're looking out for their best interests, and their egos are this big, and they're always going to look out for number one, and that's themselves. And so, listen, it's hard to fault people for that when you're getting $3, $4, $5 million to call the defense. But man, it sucks because these guys were bought into what he was doing, and but hopefully it works out for us in the long run, because I think the guys are buying into Coach Patricia. And we'll see. But man, it sucks, man. It definitely sucks to hear those things, and I definitely think he made a lot of enemies in Buckeye Nation. But hey, listen, he helped win us a natty, so we'll always have that.
I have zero doubt that we will get Petty Ryan Day on November 11th.
Oh yeah.
It just, I mean, that's my thing. Like you said, it is one thing if the job seeks you. When Benedict Alford went north, that dude was applying for every job possible because he knew he was on borrowed time.
Yeah.
This wasn't that type of situation. Like, yes, there was some disconnect. There were rifts. Knowles even talked about Ohio State being the hardest environment he's ever been in, and it's everything that you hear it is and then some.
Yeah.
As our boy DJ Burns likes to embrace the lunatic fringe.
Yeah.
That Herb Street threw out there too. Ohio State fans are passionate, but all fan bases have passionate fans. I think Ohio State fans are probably just a little louder.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was what anybody that wants to read that article, that ESPN put out, because it's very telling though about, we've talked about what these guys go through.
Yeah.
And obviously, I'm going to guess, like a guy like Hartline and OG Walt, who have ties to the program, are wired a little differently than Knowles.
Yeah.
So it's really cool that was the one thing I'll say. That was cool to see an outsider's perspective of Ohio State.
Yeah.
Because it was kind of a peel back the curtain thing that you don't always get to see.
Yeah. And listen, the courting of coaches, that happens all season long.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yep.
Brian Hartline his agent is getting text and phone calls
all year,
all year long. Right. And so like when he goes home, he's probably getting like, "Hey, so-and-so called. Do you want to entertain this?"
Yep.
Right. Those are things that are happening throughout. And it is a mental warfare when those things happen, because, you do have goals, you do have aspirations, you do have these ideas of where you want your career to go, but you're still trying to navigate and be laser focused on these different things. And so like there are coaches out there that are doing it, the right way, or whatever the right way is. And so it is a tough thing to navigate when you are sought after and when you're these just well versed and well respected coaches like Jim Knowles is. And so it is a tough world to navigate. College football is just it is a cutthroat business, man,
Yeah.
and people are going to do whatever it takes to go out there and win.
Yeah, absolutely. For sure. But that kind of brings together our big bowl of checks mix, I think, for the week.
Yeah.
Our next episode will be number 100.
Wow.
And that counts, any videos we've done. So it's the 100th video,
Yeah.
which everything we've done has posted this. So we're going to call it episode 100.
Episode 100, baby.
That is wild.
It's crazy.
We appreciate everybody that's been here from day one. We appreciate everybody that's here from day, episode 99.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll get some new listeners after this one.
Yeah.
Do us a favor, smash the like, comment, definitely hit the subscribe. Ideas, feedback, good, bad, ugly, shoot it to us. And with that, we will see you guys next week for episode 100.